Hi everyone, thanks for watching the video. This is Matthew with Forex-Nation.com, and I'm going to go over the trade setups that we've had this week on the euro-dollar pair. Not a whole lot of great trade setups for the week so far. Initially, we had this crossover on the alligator occur, and it was profitable. You would have gotten in when the crossover actually occurred, which actually was right here. And this was an area of frustration at first as the price action did go against us about 15 pips. But you got to trust in your system and your indicators. And as you can see, it did fall down. It arrived at the weekly S1. That's also where it was overextended. You can see the envelope ends here and price action continued farther down to here. I actually closed the trade out right here. So I got a decent amount of pips out of that. I was really glad about that move. And then once this tail had formed, I threw my trend line in, and this is currently still a valid trend line. You can see price action rallied back up and attempted another sell-off, but was unsuccessful. And there was some fundamental factors going on with that over in the Eurozone. We had another brief sell-off, probably profit-taking period, and then the bulls really picked up. This was still not another setup until it occurred right here where the crossover occurred, at which point in time I got back in here and got into a buy. Now my buy only lasted about 3 hours. I got out when it got overextended here again according to our envelopes, and as you can see, price action went back down and got very volatile and very choppy, and I've stayed out of the market kind of since then, except for one trade that I did take. I got into a bounce off this resistance level. You can see it matches up with where price action found resistance last week. So when I saw this occurring, and I posted this on my website, I got into the trade expecting a bounce, hopefully back down to the red moving average here at least. I was thinking at best case scenario it would go all the way back down to somewhere in this region around my trend line. But neither was the case. Ended up basically consolidating and ranging for quite some time into the European hours, where a brief rally in the euro was then met with equal resistance once it got up into the 3800s. This is a barrier right here for the euro dollar. I don't think it's going to be able to have much success once it penetrates the 3800s of staying around for much longer. And as you can see, it fell back off pretty sharply. Now I want to go over this real quick. This could have been a fake out if you were trying to get in early before the crossover had actually happened. You can see here the red moving average is still up above the blue and has not crossed over, but price action in the meantime had achieved a level all the way down. I want to say that was to 37.26, which it was, and I posted early enough for you to be aware that there was some serious buying interest that I heard through the grapevine in the 37.20s area. As you can see, that prediction came true as price action, once it reached the 37.20s area, shot right back up another 50 pips. That was all that buying action I mentioned that was going to go on there. But as you can see, the bulls are weaker today, and a sell-off occurred again over the past hours. Now, I did not and am not going to get in a trade yet, even though a crossover did occur here. Reason being, even if this crossover had happened back here and this rally had never took place, we are approaching this trend line, and I believe, I'm going to zoom out just to give some more perspective. I believe what's going to end up happening is, you can see we have a triangular consolidation going up. I believe what might possibly be the case is good news coming out tomorrow with the core PPI reports and everything that's coming out, which I mentioned on the website here in the U.S. Good news in the U.S. doesn't necessarily translate into a sell-off on the euro dollar, because when the economy is really strong here in the States and things are doing well in the Eurozone as they are, then typically investors are more willing to invest in higher yielding currencies. Thus, the euro dollar becomes more popular. So even though economic signs are good here in the U.S., they're also equally pretty good in the Eurozone, not counting Greece. Yes, I'm very well aware of that, but that's just a dead horse that's going to get beaten into the ground if we keep going on about it until finally there's some clarity in the coming months. So I think what we're going to probably end up seeing is price action might actually come on down and touch this trend line. But more than likely it's probably going to break back up here in one last attempt at a rally into the 3800s, which I still say will not be successful. What we've kind of got going here is what you could call a head and shoulders. We've got a higher high, a lower high over here, and I would expect any rally that's going to take place that might break this line will probably not achieve these heights. And if it does achieve equal heights, then you'll have a double top. Either way, what I'm getting at is I don't think the euro dollar has much chance of sustaining much more of a rally than we've already seen since last week, which has brought us up into the 3800s, which is a very decent rally. So I would not look to be taking big profits in either direction right now, as the market's going to continue to pretty much range with a slightly bullish bias. Now, what was one other thing I want to go over is this resistance line, which you can see I haven't moved yet. This resistance line has held up for 2 weeks now, because if I go back a little ways, well, that's the weekly resistance, the R1, and this resistance line met with the price action perfectly right here, and then you can see it bounced back off here last night, so it's been holding up fairly well. And even though it was broken here, I want to get into why this was not considered a break of resistance. I mean, yes, technically that is a candle breaking resistance and closing on the other side, but it's not a very impressive candle. The body is very small. The next candlestick's body is even smaller. We don't obviously see much strength in any kind of momentum here, which you usually and typically will always see with a true breakout. So I didn't consider this a breakout. I didn't trade it. You can see when this next candlestick opened right here and it came down, it didn't quite come down to test the line again. But on this candlestick it did, and it actually broke through the line. Even though it's still closed above it, it broke through the line. Small rally again here, which peaked with a huge tail. And whenever you see a tail like that, that's a key sign that you're about to see a reversal in price action. That's a huge tail. That's basically the buyers out there trying to build it up as much as possible, and then the bears, taking interest back in it at the new heights in the 3800s and selling it back down. And thus the next candlestick, as you can see, the next couple brought this price action right back down through this line and down below it, which basically means that the line was never really broken impressively in the first place. Thus, this would not have been a breakout trade to the upside. This was just simply bulls taking over more. I would still certainly move the line up to here and consider that my true point of resistance. And you can see it matches with the candlestick tail that we see over here from last week. And so that right now is the line of resistance, the line in the sand, as you could call it, 37.95. I would not expect price action to be able to actually close on the other side of this line, although it may break it like it did here. It will come under some severe selling pressure. I think eventually, and again, that could happen tomorrow with the economic data coming out of the U.S. It could also break down south. What to look for, bottom line, is a break in this trend line. If you see this trend line broken, if you see another crossover here on the alligator, or if this crossover here continues to hold up and this trend line does get broken, sell the euro dollar. This thing's going to go back down, I believe, into the 3500s again before another rally happens. All right, that's it for now. Comments are welcome. Good luck to you all.